Hello, and welcome to Nurtural Disasters. This is a podcast for those of us with toxic or emotionally immature parents. We might not have a bunch of credentials next to our names, but we do have PhDs from the Hard Knocks University. Basically, we want this to be a validating space for adult children of parents who had no business having children.
Welcome to Nurtural Disasters with Ken and Lisa.
Hey, Ken, I'm just thinking, I think my parents created a monster.
Is it your narcissistic brother?
I don't know if he's a narcissist. I don't want to. He just exhibits a lot of toxic traits that to the point where you just go, whatever you call it is just toxic.
Oh, it's the one with your mom, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll just call him dipshit brother.
Mm.
He's kind of a dipshit, so
You could be a bit of a jerk, and I feel bad talking,
a little bit.
because I wish I had a good relationship with him, and I do love him, but I just wish I know things cannot be different, and that's why I've maintained my distance. But yeah, and I was watching that documentary Inside the Manosphere, that Netflix one that just came out, and I feel like it helped me understand him better.
Your brother, you mean?
Yes, because he follows like the Andrew Tate kind of misogynistic. In the documentary, they talk about one-sided it's an open relationship, but it's like only one-sided. And I remember hearing that he had an open relationship, and I was like, what? But he can have as many hookups as he wants, but she's not allowed, right? And then he's like on Instagram, he's posting stuff about crypto scams, crypto stuff. I don't really understand it myself, to be honest. But I did hear from the grapevine that he went to Costa Rica with his girlfriend. This was a couple years ago. And he just left her in the hotel room for 3 days by herself while he went to hook up with other girls. And then my dad, I remember he went to go visit them, but I think that was later on in the week. And I asked him, like, did this happen? He goes, that's just secondhand opinion. And he's very dismissive of me. And eventually, I don't think they're together, my brother and his girlfriend. And I thought, I hope she finds her self-esteem, to put up with somebody who's just treats you like shit. There's a part of you that feels like you deserve it.
Yeah, that sounds like a tailor-made disaster kind of like situation. A lot of this just him watching or listening to those Manosphere posts, or is it they're just feeding how he is already, like a confirmation bias, like he's already like this, or is it like a mix of both?
Kind of. I think I figured this out because he's a big Trump supporter, MAGA. I think he is actually an angry person, and they like to feed into your anger, and they give you a vehicle for your anger. So you can direct it at the trans people, the illegals, the usual scapegoats, right? And I was like, right. I could see why it's people who are already angry. They love MAGA. And I don't know if anybody listening is like a huge MAGA. I'm not trying to shit on it, and this is not a political podcast, but it explains the psychology behind it. And if just as for my observation anyway, you know what I mean? You're an angry person, and these Manosphere, right-wing, red pill, Andrew Tate types tells you exactly where to redirect your anger at. But that's with the incel culture. It's like, oh, it's not because of me. It's not because I'm overweight and I'm unemployed and I live in my mom's basement. No, it's the feminists because they're all gold diggers. I'm like, you don't have any fucking gold, first of all, incel. So calm the fuck down.
The documentary by Louis Theroux about the Manosphere, really, I'm not sure if some of these influencers that are on there in the Manosphere in that documentary actually want to give away the secret sauce, but it seemingly is giving away like some of the mindset and what they're actually looking for being these figures in the Manosphere. So your brother left his girlfriend at a resort in Costa Rica while he went to go hook up with other ladies.
I know, it's
Me and you, Lisa, we're of that age where like, we're not into that bullshit anymore. Maybe if we were younger, that bullshit will be like, that's a part of our life. That kind of bullshit is normal. You run into that bullshit every day. Like you're just playing this game. But the thing is, the game that both sides are willing to play.
I guess she is young, from what I hear.
Goodness, how old was he and how old was she?
I think she's in her 20s. He's in his 30s.
Whoa. There's like red flags everywhere with your brother. He should just walk around waving red flags at this point.
Yeah, he's a walking carnival, right?
It's a walking spectacle. Man, that's just douchey behavior. And he's at an age where I'm assuming because he probably has the money, the financial aspects of it. So to date someone that much younger, and I'm assuming not as experienced, there's like a power dynamic there.
Yeah,
And it's
exactly.
it's something in the Manosphere that was in the documentary. It's a lot of this stuff is all these rules, all these kind of like codes of conduct. It's all made up. They're not real. It's like all this kind of etiquette, what you're supposed to do, how you're supposed to talk to women, how you're supposed to care about your own body and stuff like that. Yeah, that's a given. That's a given for everything. But it's just the way it's giving people the playbook, people that are vulnerable to playbook. It's exploiting them. So you know that's someone that is kind of like deeply flawed in this area. So you're trying to explain their flaw in a way. Hey, if you do this and this, you'll get around it, and try to sell this master class in something that's really people shouldn't be teaching other people. It's not a good thing.
And you know, there was this one scene where they're talking to he's one of the followers of the Manosphere, but he was like, "Oh, I was living in my car." I guess he was homeless for a while. I guess he's hopefully no longer homeless. And he was saying something interesting that I thought, "What?" When he said, "Oh, I don't believe in depression," because I guess in the Manosphere cult, things like depression and fear are it's just something that's in your mind. And then when they asked him about his brother, he said, "Oh, my brother committed suicide."
Yeah.
But he doesn't believe in depression, okay? Even though, last time I checked, when people commit suicide, it's because they're depressed, not because they're happy. It's very weird that I mean, it's literally right in front of your face where you go, "Yes, depression exists. That's why your brother unalived himself." You know, I guess that's the word you have to use, otherwise you get demonetized on YouTube and whatever.
Yeah.
Um, how brainwashed are you to say, "No, it doesn't exist, it's all in your mind?" And that's fear is they say, "Oh, fear is just in your mind." I'm like, "No, there's a reason why we feel fear because back in the, caveman days, you needed fear. That's how we survived. It's your own instinct to go, "Okay, this is danger. It's coming." You need fear. Otherwise, if you're fearless people, they act on impulse and they make a lot of reckless decisions.
Yeah, it's weird that there's like a code of conduct, right? Promoting certain type of masculinity where it's like you have to do this, this, or you're really playing life wrong or playing the game wrong, right? It's an ideology that you have to go through. And every now and then, that's why I'm a person that doesn't like TikTok, and you see this on TikTok all the time, where influencers are telling you, "Oh, men shouldn't do this, women shouldn't do this, and blah blah blah. They can't do this." And it's just these rules that people come up with, and you're like, "How valid are these rules?" Well, it's as valid as many people give likes to that person, right? Unfortunately, what we've gone down to at this point. But I found most interesting with that documentary was that pretty much it really showed the secret sauce of how this whole system operates, this whole business entity operates. One of the creators, I think he was sitting with the director, and I think his name was Harrison, and he was pretty much just talking about how he has Instagram models and OnlyFans
OnlyFans. Yeah.
models on his show. And it's pretty much trying to draw the correlation as well. What's the difference between you and the woman that's on your show? You're both making money, right? He almost seemed offended that you would put me on the same level as OnlyFans model. And then if you look and you dig deeper, he is pretty much funding a lot of these, like, they're running agencies for these OnlyFans models to join. So they're actually running their OnlyFans. There's like a business aspect of it there. If you think about it, they're trying to sell to that guy that's listening to the Manosphere podcast. They might be lonely. They might not have a girlfriend. And you're having a podcast and you're having these women on there. Just be a focus is on there for probably the hope to like kind of like dangle them in front of these men to get on their OnlyFans. And why would they do that? Because they make money off of it. Like someone like Harrison would make money off of it. And that becomes now you see why they're doing it. There's money involved. There's clout. There's money. But most importantly than not, Harrison even gone to a point where he was like, you know what? I could do things like the right way. I could be just like a regular influencer, be really cool and stuff like that. But that's not where the money is. And he admitted to that. That's not where the money is. That's not where the clicks are. So it's a really kind of like adapting to a culture where what will give you the most clicks, the most attention, and inevitably the most money.
Mhm.
It's exploiting a group of people that are living a certain way and trying to sell them a product. This is a lot of this stuff is transactional. It's selling of a product
Mhm.
to a
Yep.
vulnerable group of people. So it's kind of it's I don't see it much different than selling like a weight loss plan or some sort of new exercise or a new kind of keto diet. They're all very similar. It's just a matter of how deep does it go and how does it affect the society on an overall basis. And this has become such a big thing, especially with just how our election was in America just in what, just 18 months ago, feels like a lifetime ago. Just how big the Manosphere and how influential they were in getting certain people to vote for a certain candidate. Yeah, it's
Mhm,
a huge thing, right? But none of this stuff comes from nothing. There's a reason why people do this. People that promote the Manosphere. There's money involved.
mhm.
So it's a very scary thing that your brother's a part of this, but he's probably even like predisposed to listening to that. It's pretty much confirming his behavior. He didn't have the best of behavior when you two were growing up.
You know, it's interesting you say that because, there's a sense of entitlement,
Mhm.
and it kind of reaffirms your sense of entitlement. Because remember I was telling you about how it's like, my brother just disappears? There was one time that my dad came, so my dad lives out of the country. So when he came to visit specifically my brother because my brother was about to be deployed. You know, he's in the armed forces, and he was gonna be gone for at least a year, right? My brother ditched him. Literally, my dad came to visit you, and what he did was that he's like, "Yeah, I'll catch up with you guys," and he never showed up to my house, and I kept calling, he never showed up. I was like, "Well, we're gonna go buy some souvenirs in Hollywood, and you just catch up with us." I just texted him and no reply, nothing. So would go to Hollywood, we buy keychains and all that shit, you know, that says Hollywood on it, and he's buying it for his friends. So then at night, we come home, we still don't hear from him, and I'm getting really worried, and in the morning, if we finally hear back from him, and I'm pissed, and I go, thanks for ghosting us," and he goes, "Not really," and then he starts explaining about how he went over to his friend's house, which is only 2 blocks away from my house, right? And they started drinking tequila. He started feeling a buzz, so he kept drinking more and more. And I was like, "You ditched us to drink tequila. You know, you can't tell him anything." And then my dad goes, because my dad's scared of him. He said, "Well, I'm glad you didn't drink and drive," or something like that. And I was just pissed because if I had done something like that, my dad would have been super pissed at me. But he's scared of my brother, so he has to walk on eggshells around him. Even my dad told me, "Yeah, I walk on eggshells around him. Otherwise, he'll just blow up on you." And but there was no I remember later asking my dad, "Did my brother ever give you an apology for what he did?" He says, "No." And it's just one of the many instances where he just will ditch you. And then he blames it on his ADHD. Everything is ADHD. Like if he's super late to something, it's his ADHD and you have to put up with it. It's not like because I have a lot of friends who have ADHD. And I know they have problems with like time blindness and whatever, but they feel bad. It's like they feel, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I feel so bad." And, you know, but with him, it's like, no, not only does he not feel bad, but he feels entitled to it. Like, "No, you can wait for me." And I remember one time we went to a restaurant and I was purposely late because he's always late, but he was like, I waited maybe an hour after, even though I was late and I waited and I was about to leave and he comes in and he sits down and he starts screaming at me, "You're too punctual." And he just starts yelling at me. At that time, I didn't really know much about narcissism, but like I internalized it and I was so scared that I actually like we ate and I paid for the bill. That's how I was like, "Oh my God, maybe I am being too punctual." Like he just it's gaslighting. It's basically what it was. And I look back and I go, I should just left. You know, why I just put up with it because everyone's supposed to bend over backwards. You know, in toxic family dynamics, now I know that they always have to cater to the person who's the most toxic. So with my brother, for example, there was one time we actually drove down to Mexico to visit family from LA to Mexico City because my brother had a fear of flying. You know how long that fucking drive is?
How
It's
long?
it was days. Going out to Texas is a long drive, and then from Texas straight south, and it took days to get there, and it was not a fun drive. Just because we all had to bend over backwards for him because he was too scared to fly, and I just think, you know what, he should have driven by himself. Why did we all have to bend over backwards? And just I think it's my mom was the one she's the one who bends over backwards for him, and to the point where it's like she's convinced the whole family that that's her golden child, you know? If he gets a a ticket because he loves to drive really fast. She's gonna pay it off. It's $1,000 ticket that she can't even afford herself. She'll pay it off. Of course, he's not gonna learn his lesson, and just things like that. But if I did it, holy shit. Uh,
Is there ever a thing in your mind that eventually he's gonna run into something that, "Hey, mom and dad can't bail you out this time?"
Probably not. He makes good money himself, so he doesn't really need the money, and
I'm talking about not even just money. Always feel like when kids get away with things as adults, it really skews their behavior,
I
knowing what they could get away with.
I don't know.
Eventually, it's gonna stop. Like, eventually, you're gonna escalate to a point where it's gonna cause some real damage.
I don't know.
I always, talk to my friends about the old adage, like, when an athlete or a celebrity does something stupid, I have, like, people that are older than me, and they're kinda like parental figures, and they would always talk to me, "How could that person do something so stupid?" And I already know this. It's like, "So, you're wondering why, like, a 24 or 25-year-old football player is making bad decisions. This is someone that has probably had everyone cover for him throughout his entire life. As soon as they figure out he's probably gonna be a good athlete and he can make millions of dollars. So things are like changed for him, and certain punishments don't apply to him. This comes from the parents. This even comes from like the school, from the coaches. If you're the star player, certain things are different for you. When you think about someone that's 24 or 25 doing something stupid, like such as like driving like a car way too fast and getting into a car accident in Vegas and like something like that and kill someone, and you're someone that's not thinking about that, and you're like, how could someone do that? It's because that person, that athlete, has gotten away with everything their entire life. Uh, why would they not get away with this? Eventually, there's certain things you can't get away from, right?
Uh, you think, but I mean, look at people like I'm not saying my brother's like Diddy or these horrific people like Harvey Weinstein. They have so many fucking enablers.
Yeah,
So
and that's the thing, Lisa. It's the enablers, the people that cover their ass, and that's really what it is. And the most worrisome is when I see like people that are about my age that have kids. And the thing is, they look at the kid and there's like, you have to tell that kid to stop doing that, right? I'm not their parent. I can't tell them to stop doing that. But you can't let your kids get away with everything. If you let your kids get away with everything, it literally is going to be my kid got away with murder,
mhm.
but not for very long. It always catches up with you, especially let's say you're a normal person. You're not like a billionaire or an athlete or a musician that's making a lot of money, movie star. If you don't have that, it's gonna be a lot harder for you for when you screw up. It's gonna be way worse for when you screw up. So it's like, why are you setting your kids up for entitlement? The entitlement is just we've seen this before. It's like the tale as old as time. Entitlement, it's fun when it's nothing major happens, right? But it escalates. People do more. It- People do crazier things, and it's just gonna end up being really bad at the end. And then you're just gonna read about the story or like watch it on Dateline. How could this person do this? I was like, well, everybody just said okay and enabled their behavior, so this is what happened. It's just interesting that your brother I I I'm just saying that he's a narcissist and a jackass mixed together, and your dad's, as someone with autism, is afraid of him.
Yeah.
I find that is very interesting, right? Because I think on the last episode you were talking about in order to outdo one, you need someone of another rank or a different type of like neurodivergence to outdo that person. Like the narcissist would need a bigger narcissist, and then a narcissist meets a sociopath, and then a sociopath meets
Mm.
a
The
psychopath.
psychopath,
So
yeah.
it just keeps escalating. So in the tier of like your dad probably doesn't want to see that explosion of your brother.
No, my brother will rage, and also,
Yeah.
what's funny is that talking about, like, getting their own karma, well, the fact that I don't talk to either of them, and I find out stuff through the grapevine.
Mhm.
See, my brother was so used to being catered to that he's never really had to take care of anybody. So I found out maybe a year and a half ago, my mom she was near the pool in her backyard, slipped and fell, broke her wrist. And I don't know if she lives alone because her ex was, I think at that time she put him in a home. She needed to have surgery for her wrist, her broken wrist. And who's going to be there? I'm not there. Usually I'm the one who's there to like fix everything. I help out everybody and I don't get shit in return. So it was he had to be the one to, like, help her out and take care of her after her wrist surgery, which I thought was really funny and really interesting, and I'm like, "Uh-huh, it's not fun being me, is it? Uh-huh."
So, did you end up seeing his behavior of actually having to take care of your mom during that time?
No. No, I've already cut off contact, but I just heard through the grapevine because my dad's ex, when they were still married at the time, he's like, "Oh, your brother was gonna come, but he had to help your mom with her broken wrist." And I'd heard that she had broken her wrist. She slipped and fell right by her pool, which could have been, like, pretty serious, because it's just kinda slippery,
Mhm.
and you fall
That's
into
why
the
they tell you
pool.
not to run by the pool.
I don't know if she was running. I don't know what the situation was, but, you have a broken wrist and you fall into the pool, and if you're not, you got to swim with one arm, and I'm sure it wasn't a deep pool or anything, but who knows? It could have been a lot worse. They say people drown and you can drown in 80 feet of water or 5 feet of water. So, who the fuck knows? But I just thought it was really interesting. I'm like, "Oh, it was not on me." And I'm sure there's a lot of resentment. It's like, "No, Lisa should be here because the sense of entitlement, like, she should be here to take care of us because that's how, I was brought up, just taking care of everybody, and I'm not there anymore. I'm here finally taking care of myself. I take care of my dog, but I get to live for me now."
And that's great. How long ago was this?
With the broken wrist thing, I think it was about maybe a year and a half ago, I wanna say.
It's really, I'm not even sure what the word would be, but it's an indictment on your mother, just how she treated you.
Mhm.
And this is the direct result of what happens when something bad happens to you. And look at what you did to your daughter. That's why she's nowhere to be found to help you.
Exactly.
Well, you put all the good like energy into your son, right? So have him do it.
You know what? There's a funny meme that's been going around on Instagram where it's like, "When my mom's old, I'm not gonna put her in a home. I'll just have her live with my brother, who was her favorite." And I was laughing, and it was obviously targeted, but I was laughing. And it's funny, and when you read the comments, it's so spot on because people say, "The favorite isn't always the most responsible child." And I was like, 100%, 1000% actually.
Well, you also think about it in terms of responsibility. If it's a situation like your mother and your brother, if your brother gets so much runaway and so much grace on everything, that's not going to create a person that's going to be super responsible. That person's going to cut corners. That person's going to be late because there's no punishment for that. There's no check for that behavior, and that's how you get that.
Yeah, good luck. That's all I can say.
That's
You're gonna
all.
need it.
That's all I say. Like, if you want to have a considerate person that you could mold like a kid, teach the kid how it is. Teach your kids empathy. Teach your kids punishment. Teach your kids pros and cons. You have to. If you don't, I always say it was like, well, looks like someone's raising a serial killer. That's pretty much what it is.
Mhm,
You have to check your kids. When I say check, it doesn't have to be like violent. It just has, you have to put more care into explaining to your kid,
mhm,
telling them not to do certain behaviors, certain things, because things are acceptable here, not acceptable outside when you see regular people. My fiance always have that fear. It's like, man, I hope our kid is not the bully. And that's true, right? We don't want the kid to be the bully, right? Some parents are
mhm.
probably okay with that. It's like, man, we don't want the kid to be the bully. So
Yeah.
if you don't want the kid to be a bully, tell your kid, be good to everybody. And then some people won't like you. You can't fix that, but a lot of people will respect you. Because here's the thing. If you're a dick, everybody will know you're a dick. How their relationship with you is probably dependent on transactional behavior at that point.
Mhm. Let's just say, these moms and their golden child sons who are gonna be taking care of them, that's gonna be very interesting. Let's just say
Well,
that.
well, at this point, if your brother is so freaking nasty to all the women that he date, he's gonna end up with nobody. So he's gonna be like raising his mom for the rest of his life. So look forward to that, bro.
But that's what they get when they treat their sons like royalty and they treat their daughters like mates in competition. And I know this is endemic with the Latino boomer moms, but I've noticed that a lot of us are breaking this generational curse.
Well, you ever believe in karma? And if you don't believe in karma, just things just seem to come around.
I don't know. I mean, sometimes people, like, you run into somebody who's just gonna be a bigger asshole than you. Eh
Always believe in that. No, seriously, but if your behavior is like that, you create it's like a causation, right? That's why I love going back into time movies, like Back to the Future, Because the thing is, it really teaches people that if you just make a certain decision in another direction, it could change the future.
Uh, the butterfly effect.
Yeah, but you should just think about that in modern times without time travel. If you're gonna act the way you are, it's gonna lead to a certain, like, outcome. So if you know someone like your brother and he acts the way he does, eventually that behavior gets checked and something happens out of it, right? Not everybody will be okay with that behavior. Eventually, he's gonna meet someone and it's just gonna be like, I don't like that, but I'll meet you outside. That's kind of like the thing. I was like, I'm pretty sure your brother could hold his own, but it's like, who wants to deal with that? That's like an inconvenience in everybody's life.
Interesting. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of the same situation with you and your sister because your dad knows you're the more responsible one. Your sister she just can't manage certain things. You know, she's emotionally stunted to like what you said, 17 years old.
Hmm.
She has limitations, so things kind of fall on you, right? There's probably kind of a similar dynamic a little bit. Like you have to cater to her. We have to enable her because she just can't handle anything.
Well, your brother definitely is more aggressive in that behavior, but my sister does have that kind of behavior where she kind of um there is some sort of entitlement in there if you look at it. It's she could get away with things I don't think any other person could get away with in that family. So if you think about it that way, it's kind of brought forth the idea that, hey, honestly, I think that my sister was a golden child because I think she gets away with everything. I don't get away with stuff like that.
Mhm.
Definitely not.
You know, thinking about it, like with my brother, I really don't think he realizes that he's angry at our mom. He makes a lot of excuses for her, and to the point where it's like his anger at her, he suppresses it, and that's why he ends up taking it out on me and his significant others. They tend to be his punching bags. And, there's that saying, if you're not healed, you're gonna bleed on the wrong people. I don't know, I'm paraphrasing. But once he realizes that, look, he has a lot of anger towards our mom because she did a lot of stuff that was not right. But if I bring it up or anything, he makes excuses for her and he goes, no, maybe because he was the golden child and that's why he gives her a lot of leeway. But I think that's the root of his anger issues. Once he works on that and realizes it, he's gonna realize it's been misdirected anger. I think that's how you say it, right? He takes it out on people who don't deserve it, and that's why you alienate people. And that's why he turned MAGA and Manosphere because it gave him that vehicle for the anger, I think, just from my observation.
So, any chance that your brother will ever go into therapy to check that?
Oh,
Or it's like a lost cause?
he's been to therapy,
Yeah,
and
but did he work on that?
no.
Exactly.
No.
Therapy is nothing but an exercise that you don't do anything at the exercise. You go to the gym and not work out the thing
Mm.
you're supposed to work out.
Yeah, you can't change what you don't acknowledge. So he had this one therapist. He basically told her that he was the victim and this and that. So he brought me in, and they basically, those two ganged up on me. Like that was my first time being there, and they forced me to apologize to him. Thinking back, I'm like, why the hell did I apologize to him? And they had ganged up on me. I don't even know what I was apologizing for. And then there was another session where he brought in our mom, and I wasn't there. But I asked her how it went, and she just said, "Oh, I just pretended I didn't speak English." And for me, it was sad because it could have been an opportunity, and I think he really was trying to repair. But I think if there's a lot of that bias of like they're only hearing your side of the story, they don't know all the shit that he's done, how selfishly and entitled he's acted. I know he acts a certain way because of things that happened in our childhood. He's deeply traumatized. We had to go through a lot of horrific things. Rather than redirecting the anger to people who are the perpetrators, you basically take it out on people who don't deserve it. I don't know if he recognizes, and I doubt he does. He doesn't. And that's why a lot of the family members have blocked him. My own cousin, who's a psychologist, blocked him and said, I want nothing to do with him. That's how toxic you are. A psychologist blocks you. Like, hello.
Yeah, a lot of it has to be self-awareness and self-acceptance that you are a certain way. If you don't have that, if you just everything is just a blind rage or you just pin it on someone else, like caused by someone else, then it's not gonna really help. I could just see, if my sister ever went into therapy, how that would be like. I think about it a lot. She's just gonna go there, and the best case scenario is that she'd be like, "Well, my dad did this, but I had this attitude towards him, so, we were playing this game." If she's acknowledging that. I have these weird fears and stuff and anxiety and things, so I use these anxieties to make sure that I don't have to do these certain things in my life or, like, excuses for me not doing anything or me to have excuses to spite my father and my mother. But I have a feeling it's just gonna end up like, you know what? My dad's an asshole, my mom's an asshole, and my little brother's an asshole. They're all abusing me.
Mhm.
End of story. That's how it's gonna end up, I think.
She really believes she's the victim.
Oh yeah, she believes she's a victim. A lot of the situations that she complains about, it has solutions. It's
Mhm.
not like a thing where it's like it's not a solvable problem. It's not like, oh, you know what? The cure for ailment is in Andromeda galaxy. Go get it. That's not possible, right? Or your ball is on the moon. We can't get it. These are things that are not possible. The things that she talk about could be fixed, or at least attempted to be fixed, right? She would complain about, oh, my back hurts. There's fixes to every one of her complaint. Your back hurts, go to a chiropractor, go physical therapy, go get some medicine, topical thing, go let a doctor see it. But she doesn't. It's like stuff like that, simple like that, that she doesn't go and get help for. So at a certain point, you just see her like hold on to like her arm or her shoulder and stuff like that, and you're like just looking at her as like, well, it's your fault, really. You have the tools to go get help. You refuse to.
I'm just wondering how self-aware your own sister is, though.
I think she's very self aware.
Okay.
That she's remember, she does this thing where she knows an excuse for everything that you suggest.
Mhm.
So, she's very aware what you're gonna say to her, and she already has a comeback for it. If someone that's not kinda, like, self-aware about what at least paranoid about what people think about her, or gotta ask her, she's not the one. Like, she knows what she is.
Mm, okay. 'Cause, a 17-year-old, how well, that's true. Because if I was 17 going on, therapy, I think I'd be pretty self-aware, but who knows? I mean, for some people, I don't know if therapy would even be helpful. I'm glad that it would be helpful for your own sister because she does have that self-awareness. I don't think my brother has that self-awareness, and I don't think it would be that helpful for him, and it hasn't been. I mean, he has had some illumination on the family, but, like, on the whole, I just don't know if he realizes what I see, and I'm sure I have blind spots as well. Everyone has their own blind spots, so I'm just trying to be fair, and hopefully other people who are listening, and I wonder if they can relate to, like, their own complicated relationships with their own siblings.
Yeah, and the thing about going to therapy and people, I think, have this expectation that maybe and even have this kind of belief that if you see someone go to therapy, someone's just gonna find a therapist that just, tells them everything's okay and stuff like that. A lot of that's like I guess like a TV stereotype about therapy. But a therapy session, especially with the right therapist, is you only get out what you put in. It's a lot like, if you think about it, that's why I bring up, like, idea of, like, a gym.
Yeah,
You could
exactly.
go to yeah, you could go to the gym, you could have a gym membership, but if you don't work out the thing that you're supposed to work out, you're probably gonna end up having the same problem as before you went into the gym. So you have to go into a therapy session and actually work on something like a concrete thing that you have to work on. And it'll be like a coordinated kind of like step by step kind of thing that you work on in therapy. I always bring up the story of my dad. Like he went through therapy. He's okay with talks about mental health. But then I would ask him, so what do you talk about today? And it'll just be like, my weird dreams and stuff like that and stress and, which is great. My dad worked on that, but he didn't work on his relationship with his wife and his kids. So you could see why someone that goes to therapy and only works out one muscle at the gym,
Yeah,
that's what's gonna happen, right?
yeah,
Let's say like you go to a gym, you're technically supposed to work out everything. Yeah,
yeah,
if you're just gonna lift weights, you're just gonna pump iron, you're just gonna do like bench presses and stuff like that, and you're like, I feel great. but then you have like chicken legs. Chicken legs. I was like, well, what happened there? Well, didn't want to really work out my legs because the girls look at the guns. So it's like, okay, so it's the same adage there, right? So if you go to a therapy session and only work on your guns, you don't know how bad your legs are.
I love that, Ken.
This is great, right?
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, but that's what I think about. Yeah, you could go to a therapist, but if you don't work on the same things or you don't succeed on working on fixing it, does nothing at that point. You just went to the gym, you tried, failure, that's pretty much what happens. And failure is not a bad thing. Maybe you'll go back to the gym again or to the therapist, find a different therapist or a different gym, and maybe get that breakthrough you're looking for.
That's so perfectly said. I mean, yeah, I don't have anything to add to that because it's just too perfect. So
Thank you for that. Well,
yeah,
what's the hope is like, I know you don't have a good relationship with your brother, and I had like a sour relationship with my sister, but you honestly, if you're encountering someone like that, especially in your family, you wish that person will come around.
yeah. I think that's the grief of like
Yeah,
knowing that you'll never get closure. You'll never get.
it's like that
eh,
part of you has died.
Yeah.
That part of you having like a good sibling relationship has died. And that's really, you kind of, for a while, you grieve that. And then after a while, you just don't want that relationship anymore. You know, at a certain point, the ball's in their court if they want to improve their life because you're done. At a certain point, you're done. Lisa, you're done. Me, I'm almost done.
Yeah.
It's we have our own lives to live and we can't be there to listen to your bullshit.
Yeah. Well, I think this is a good time to wrap it up. I mean, you basically summed up everything. Yeah. Well, thank you guys for listening, and hopefully this gives you some kind of clarity. I just want to say thank you to Megan Morrow. I can't thank her enough because she's been so kind, so generous to let us use her song "Clouded" for our theme song.
Not only that, she's a really big supporter of us, and it's great to have friends that like support each other in our
She
endeavors.
is. She really is.
You
She's
should
just such.
really leverage your friends' talents. And I don't mean that in like kind of like a mean financially grubby way. It's just if you have friends that are good at something, use it. Then you know what? I always think the best kind of friendships or like growth of like business and stuff like that or success, it's better when you bring your friends along for the ride.
Hmm.
Hopefully, watch. Hopefully, in like 5 years, you're gonna be like, hey, this has finally blown up. Are you screwheads that didn't support us? You're all like, you're on the list.
Maybe.
I don't know. I think we're a little petty. We're really nice people, but we're petty.
You know, you would never
No,
call
you no,
somebody
no,
pruny
no.
face. You would
Pe-
never call somebody pruny.
oh, Pruny McPrunerson? Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh.
How's she doing nowadays? I haven't been on TikTok.
I think her daughter's still estranged, so I guess what she's doing isn't working.
Oh, well, guess. Wow,
Oh,
big surprise.
you mean talking shit about your daughter online is
Yeah, that could.
it's gonna cause her to come back? Uh-huh.
Yeah. It's like, okay, maybe the daughter hit her head and forgot about all of that. Unlikely.
Amnesia?
Unlikely.
Yeah, like in the.
Amnesia. That's a good movie. But yeah, I think that's it for this episode. Tune into the next episode for more intriguing conversation about parents and family dynamics.
Alright. Thank you guys for listening. Oh, wait, wait.
Did that fit?
No, that was great.
Okay, this is like okay. Everybody, work out your legs.
Yeah. No more chicken legs, okay? Bye.
You don't want that Johnny Bravo body. Bye, everybody.
Bye.